with that said, I'll go ahead and get started. Management Advisory Group has been in business since 2001. We're headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia. I work out of the Columbia, South Carolina office. We typically do about 50 to 60 of these type of engagements a year. Around the country, we work in about 40 or 50 states. We've got a strong track record here in the state of Georgia. Recently, we worked with DeKalb County Schools, Clayton County, Atlanta Public Schools, as well as Hall County, Georgia. This particular project has about 5 or 6 significant goals that I'd just like to briefly go through to make sure that everyone is on board with what we've been asked to do with respect to the compensation classification study. The primary goal of the project is to position the city so that it can retain and attract talent within the organization. Being a newly created entity, the city is still evolving and growing. There will be certainly positions and needs identified presently, but going forward in the future, there will be identification of different types of skill sets. And the study that we put together certainly is flexible enough where it will allow the city to grow its compensation classification plan and structure as additional positions come on board or new positions are created. Also, we want to ensure, as a goal of the study, that we adhere to the principles of equal work and work based on value of the duties and responsibilities that have been assigned to the respective employees within the scope of their current employment. We want to outline promotional opportunities, make sure that the policies and procedures are updated and current, and make sure that the city's ability to compete with the multiple jurisdictions in the region are solid and sound, and that across the board, regardless of the type of position or regardless of the department, the city is in a position to compete for the right type of skill set to fill vacancies as they come open. Scope of services. I'm not going to go through each one of these. Many are interrelated, but I will point out the first one talks about providing a comprehensive evaluation of every job within the city to determine its relative worth to the organization for internal equity and to establish pay ranges and step progressions within the range. This week, my staff is on the ground. We're holding a series of meetings throughout the organization where employees are coming and attending 1-hour briefings where we're introducing them to the study, the scope, the process, the scope of work, the methodologies that's going to be used. And we're also explaining to them how to complete the job analysis questionnaire, which will be the foundation of the analysis that we're going to be putting together to put the study in process. One of the other parts of the scope of services is a critical one that I'm going to actually talk about a little bit later on in the presentation, is that the city is looking at the viability of establishing a $15 per hour wage floor within the organization. So no position within the city would pay less than $15 an hour should the city decide to go forward with that initiative. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit toward the end of the presentation with respect to what other communities in the state of Georgia have adopted a $15 per hour a minimum wage, and also some trends that are taking place nationally as it relates to $15 an hour. Yes, sir.
Did you want us to hold our question?
Yes. Yes, please. Okay, that's fine. If you want to. And so those are the major aspects of the scope of services. I think we provide you a copy of the presentation in advance. And if you want to go through in detail, they're certainly there for you to review. The team consists of myself as project manager, Carolyn Long will serve as the co-project manager. In addition, we have David Bookingbill, Don Long, who's company president. Don not only works in the human resources arena, but he also assists communities with developing master fire plans as well as police organizational reviews. And we have Steve Foster and Mr. Jurgensen, who are responsible for the IT and the market survey as it relates to the project. One of the selling points of our company is all of us are senior individuals as it relates to public sector management. I've been an HR director, assistant city manager, and I've been doing this for about 20 years. Part of the process was identifying comparable organizations throughout the state that we were going to compare the city of Fulton to. I provided you with a list of those organizations. Just quickly run through them: Athens, Clark County, Atlanta Public Schools, Bibb County, Chatham County, City of Americus, City of Atlanta, City of Savannah, Doherty County, Tipton, and DeKalb County School District. I apologize, those are actually some of the recent projects. We do have a list of the comparables we're going to be using for this project. I'll share with you. Those are just other projects we've done around the country. Part of the project also includes providing the city with software and training for the HR staff so they'll be able to maintain the study going forward. As a best practices agenda item, the organization shouldn't have to undergo a major study like this for another 5 or 6 years. And we're going to provide the software which will allow you to achieve that benchmark. As jobs change, duties and responsibilities change, the HR department will be able to conduct a review to determine whether or not the job needs to move up in classification and pay. Same can be true if the job loses duties and responsibilities. They can also identify where the job should be placed within the context of the compensation structure. And any new positions that are approved by the commission, the HR department will be able to slot them based upon the new software that will be provided at the end of the study process. We call that software classification manager. Again, I won't go through it in detail at this point in time due to time constraints, but if you'd like to get more information on that, I certainly can provide that to you. $15 an hour. That is a big debate around the country in terms of minimum wage for the lowest level workers in any organization, public or private. Right now, there are 29 states that have adopted minimum wages that are above the federal government minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. There are 42 communities, cities, and counties around the country that have adopted minimum wages above the federal minimum wage. Just a little historical perspective, the minimum wage came about in 1938 based on President Roosevelt's initiative with respect to the New Deal. And the initial minimum wage was 25 cents per hour, and that was set in 1938. It's been amended several times, and today it's $7.25. And you'll see that in the state of Georgia, the city of Clarkston is the first municipality to mandate a $15 per hour minimum wage. It is my understanding in the last budget of former Mayor Kasim Reed, City of Atlanta, that they're supposed to move to a $15 per hour minimum wage in the FY 19-20 budget. So Atlanta will be another municipality in the region that goes to $15 an hour. As it relates to across the country, the highest minimum wage in the United States is actually in the city of SeaTac, Washington, which is a suburban community outside of Seattle, Washington. The minimum wage there is $16.09 per hour. There's a great deal of back and forth as it relates to the pros and cons of implementing a $15 an hour minimum wage. Some of the pros are it provides the lowest level employees with opportunities for their salaries to keep pace with the cost of living. It does have a positive impact on morale within the organization. And one would argue there is some positive impact on productivity as well. There have been a number of studies done that says that it reduces the income inequality, which is a major problem in this country that continues to grow and exacerbate. It does provide opportunities for some to move off of government assistance based on increasing their minimum wage so they can provide a better standard of living for them and their families. It does spur economic growth. Research shows that those individuals at the lower end of the wage scale tend to spend a great deal of their disposable income rather than saving or investing. And so that money will go back into the community, spurring the economic development chain, creating jobs, goods, and services within the community. Also allows those who may want to invest in their education, have more money in their pocket to pursue additional training. It should have a positive impact on the city's labor pool as more potential applicants will find the city more attractive when you look at the salary combined with the benefits. It positions the city to become an employer of choice within the region. On the downside, the cons, probably the biggest is many feel it's an unfunded mandate on business when minimum wage floors are established. I tend to argue that business will do what it has always done, and it will simply pass on any increased cost of doing business to the consumer. And I'm referencing more of the private sector when I say that. probably the second biggest downside would be minimum wage laws raise labor costs, which is typically the biggest cost of not only a public sector entity, but also a private sector entity. But I think the benefits far outweigh the potential downside in terms of implementing a $15 an hour floor as it relates to minimum wage. One of the things that we see in urban areas, because there's so many jurisdictions within a relatively short driving distance, where employees will move from one organization to the other, particularly when they don't have to change their commute. Most people are willing to drive up to an hour and a half one way if the job pays wages that are very competitive or at the upper end of the spectrum. And so the city cannot afford to be lagging behind as it relates to competitive pay. The city has to be in the upper tier, I believe, in terms of competitive pay to keep pace with many other jurisdictions, public, and then also keep pace to some degree with the private sector organizations in the community. Certainly, increasing one's livable wages will have a positive impact on reducing poverty, attracting younger workers into public service, and spurring economic development within the organization, and reducing turnover, improving the overall quality of life of the applicant. And so, just to recap, we believe it's a positive with the city going, pursuing possibly the $15 an hour minimum wage. It certainly would position the city, combined with its benefits package, to position itself as an employer of choice. Our study will not only look at salary and wages, but we'll also be looking at the benefits of the city to see how you stack up with other entities, public and private, within the region. Project timeline and phases associated with the project. Today, as I said, we initiated the project. We're holding the meetings for the rest of the week with city employees, explaining the process and showing them how to complete the questionnaire. Next phase, we'll be doing the market survey, where we'll be contacting about 12 different organizations, which if you do not have that in your packet, I'd be happy to have Ms. Henderson provide that to you so you can see the other cities, counties that we'll be contacting to provide information. We will also gather private sector information from the Federal Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics. And we'll provide the raw data so that the city can see how we were able to build our recommendations. We anticipate having the initial findings in terms of the report late May, and we'll come back and present the report, and we'll give the organization an opportunity to review it, provide feedback, and we'll address any questions or concerns and fine-tune the draft. And we hope to move to finalize the report in early June, all in line with the city's budget process. And then finally, we'll get to doing the job descriptions and the software installation first part of July this summer. That, in a nutshell, is what we're going to be doing for the city. If you have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to address those.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. I don't see anybody in the queue.
Yes, they're not going to question.
But just 1 minute. What's wrong with you? Yeah, but go ahead, Mr. Khalid. I'm sorry, mine is not showing.
No, that's fine. Thank you so
Councilmember
much.
Khalid, and then Councilmember Willis is in the queue.
So, pardon me, I was a little late. I had missed what exactly, because my question is, like, why exactly, maybe you can give some information. Why exactly are we studying our compensation in class? Specifically, if you were to, are we studying positions that we are about to hire, or are we studying all the positions in the city?
Good question. I'll answer the latter first. We're studying all the positions in the city. But one of the things I'm going to be doing next week is meeting individually with department heads, talking about any specific issues they have with recruitment, retention, or any potential restructuring that may take place in another department, which may impact a position not today, but down the road, 12 months down the road, 18 months down the road. And so that will be addressed. The other question was, why are we doing this now? As a newly created city, a A lot of your policies and procedures are still evolving, still being developed. A lot of what you have in place, I believe, was mirrored from what Fulton County has. And so it's imperative at this point in time that the city develop its own compensation and classification plan that's unique to the jobs and composition of positions within the city.
Okay, and the reason I ask, and you're also not just studying the salary, but you're also studying if there are like redundancies or, are you just studying the salaries? Are you actually studying the work chart to see if there's a more efficient way to?
We're not doing an operational management or efficiency study, but we will look at the classifications to make sure that how they're currently classified or listed is consistent with best practices in the industry as it relates to employment and labor. For example, if we find that there's a position that seems to have more than one primary focus, from a compensation standpoint, we will advise whether or not it makes sense to maybe split that out into two.
Before we began hiring all of these folks, and so we kind of have this kind of tight pay and class chart with, well, we've already factored in compression. So I'm just wondering what happens if the study comes back and says that we need to make changes?
Okay.
Shouldn't that be attrition or?
Okay. And just quickly, for those who may not know what salary compression is, salary compression is when you have, well, you know, but some others may not know. Salary compression when you have large numbers of employees clustered around the bottom end of the pay spectrum, and they have varying years of tenure with the organization or experience in the field. That's need to be made. The final report will be issued early June to coincide with the budget process. All positions associated with the city will be looked at as it relates to compensation.
Okay, thank you.
Just one more comment to Mr. Kamal.
Yes.
He raised a very good point. One of the things that I did notice, and again, to an HR director and assistant city manager, is this is a significant study and step for the city, but he is right. The other piece of the equation needs to look at operations in every department to make sure the structure and the staffing, process, and procedures are consistent with the vision and the mission of the organization. Because you're only 2 years old, for some of you, some may see that as a long time. I see that as being a young baby in terms of local government. And so sometimes you could benefit from having someone from the outside come in and kind of assess how things are set up now, how they're organized now, what the staffing needs to look like in terms of workforce planning over the next 5 years, particularly in public safety, a master plan for fire and things like that down the road could save you a lot of time on the planning stuff. Okay, Mr. Baker?
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I do understand that 2 of my 3 questions were already spoken about and discussed, but I do want to let you know that there was a resolution passed to actually have your study be based on our decision already made to increase. So not necessarily the feasibility, those things that you had in the presentation in the earlier part of it, but more so the decision
Has been made.
Yes.
Okay, I just needed affirmation.
Thank you so much for the comments and what else you agree. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Mayor Council, the next item about Old National Main Street Initiative has been pulled. The city manager is asking that it be pulled to the April 9th meeting. So therefore, the next item is the legislative update by Andrew Long, A.R. Long Company.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry.
There's a question as to whether, as to why.
DCA wasn't able to be here today.
Okay? DCA. Okay?
So we're not having that discussion at all tonight?
My understanding. Continue, Madam Clerk.
The legislative update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm not Andrew Long. I'm actually Lolita Jackson, and I'm a consultant working with Andrew Long Company. And so the Senate is still in session, and Andrew could not make it here in time to give the update. So I will share with you You should have copies or printouts of the government relations legislative update, which has an outline of the various bills. Aid is taking that bill to get signatures on the Senate floor. The House Bill 423, the homestead exemption bill, I understand that bill from Representative Bazemore has passed. And so that one is finished for the homestead exemption. And then finally, the hotel motel tax, that one is going to for signatures on the Senate floor as well. So that one is not complete. The other ones are just bills of concern for your awareness. So I will do what I will do is, I'm not sure what your questions are, but what I can do, because Andrew, we're kind of working as a team. I work some more with the staff, and Andrew works more so with the legislative delegation. And so what I can do is take your questions and have Andrew follow up via email, if that will work. But if you have questions, we definitely want to hear them.
Okay, Councilwoman.
So from my understanding, I thought we had signatures. It was just a matter of going to the local city council for House Bill 121.
For House Bill, I understand that was just released today, so there may have been signatures already. I know there's a meeting tomorrow on that one.
I can give you some insight on that. That's not correct. The second replacement bill had signatures, but the original bill had to go back and get signatures. So that bill was being held. The various members of the delegation and others went back and got the Senate, I guess the committee chair, the slow vote chair, to release it. And after releasing it, the Fulton delegation chair asked to have that meeting tomorrow. But all of the signatures are not on the original bill. It's on the replacement bill that has that concession that we discussed.
And also, we will back, those are the same people who are saying.
The other question is, so I just didn't expect, when is the last day of the session?
Next Tuesday, the 2nd.
So I just didn't expect for us this tag and hotel motel tax to be drawn out so long, like to the last minute. Do you have any idea when they anticipate on getting that to the local calendar once it's signed?
I don't, but I can make sure I get that answer for you.
Anyone else in the queue?
Councilmember Khalid.
No, I just do.
Okay.
I know sometimes there are zombie bills in the Senate that can, get attached at the last minute. So I would just ask that there are a couple that, that you have listed as not surviving crossover day, which was today, or yesterday, or tomorrow.
It's Thursday, the
Thursday.
28th.
Okay.
No, crossover day.
It's the 22nd, I think.
Yeah, the 27th, okay.
But
I thought they already had crossover day, yeah. It was March 7th, it was earlier in the month.
Not the end of the year.
Okay, right.
They can still come back. And so I just want to make sure that we keep an eye on these and we're not surprised if someone attaches one to something else.
Yes, and like I said, these are listed here as those that we're watching.
Awesome.
And so,
and
thank you.
those are local bills, but they're not really crossover. All right. All right, thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Our next agenda item is a resolution activating the Downtown Development Authority for City of South Fulton. Councilmember Khalid.
Hey, I'm actually going to ask that we hold that to the next meeting as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
That is the agenda for the work session.
I move that we go into executive session for real estate, litigation, personnel. Second.
I've been moved to second in discussion.